that was Flamingo by Kid Cut. You can get that on upbeat.com if you've ever heard of Upbeat. It's a great plot. It's a great spot for content creators to get new free music or copyright free music. Well, hey, listen, I'm Noah. Welcome to In Rest. We're going live today instead of doing our usual thing, but I'm really excited to have you joining me today for this live stream, for this streamed event. It's awesome. So anyway, as you know, maybe, I'm Noah, and this is In Rest. So we're talking about how to resetting, okay? So resetting is as simple as taking a deep breath, relaxing, taking a look around, trying to figure out, okay, what am I supposed to be doing? What is the main thing I'm supposed to be focusing on, etc. It's very easy to lose sight of what we're supposed to have our focus on. It's very easy to lose sight of who we're meant to be spending time with, the goals we're meant to be chasing after. And if you're like me, you probably have some kind of undiagnosed ADHD or trauma or something else that also impacts your brain. You might have an addiction to doom scrolling that will also affect your brain. You might also have something altogether different. Maybe you have issues like rejection sensitivity dysphoria. Maybe you've got anxiety, generalized anxiety disorder. Maybe you have some sort of autism. You're on the spectrum. But in any case, if you're watching this live stream, hopefully or the recording afterward, you're probably a leader who is someone who really cares about other people, someone who really cares about living effectively, living well, developing yourself, and just doing a good job at life, basically. I was thinking about today how there are people in this world who try to be maximalists, and I'm not sure who said it, but the famous quote that I know of from about maximalism is the idea that anyone who is a maximalist is miserable. And I think the reason for misery that's coming from being a maximalist is the idea that you have to be 100% completely insanely perfect in every area of your life in order to feel satisfied. And that's just not realistic. Like, nobody is going to be this level of perfection that sometimes our brains or our own traumas or even the people around us expect of us. The truth of the matter is we can be effective. We can live well, but living perfectly is not necessarily living well. Trying to live perfectly can actually send us into situations where our stress levels are so high we can't even possibly imagine what it might feel like to live successfully, let alone actually live that way. And so it's really important, yes, to make a plan. But the reason why I started talking about this is because I was thinking about how there are people who take their planners and they take every single moment of their day and they plan it out. And there are seasons where I have done that. There are periods of time where I've done that, even in academics. I did that in order to be more effective. But the truth is, you don't have to have every moment, all of the minutia of your life completely well organized in order to be able to be effective, in order to live well. I think that what's important is that we have goals that make sense, that they are worthwhile to us personally, worthwhile to us professionally. And we chase after those and pursue those goals with everything we've got. With ambition, yes, but with healthy ambition. Because I think if you're watching this, you're somebody who wants to be ambitious in a healthy way. And I think that maybe if you're a spiritual person, you believe in God, maybe God wants you to watch this video so that you can, grow in your sense of living effectively and living well. Well, the way to reset is essentially taking a deep breath. And a deep breath could be a metaphor. It could be an actual deep breath that you take, but it could also be a metaphor in that you need to take a moment to pause and to rest and to get sorted. Paul J. Meyer said that, or wrote that, one of the effective ways to cut down on the loss of time is in planning and in goal setting. So you can take a deep breath by actually just taking a moment to pause and assess what you really need to be spending time on. And that can be the plans that you've set in a previous season that you felt that need to be resurrected. There might be things right now in the present moment that need to be corrected, and there might be things that for the future that need to be pursued. A condition of life, quality of living, a quality of your finances, I'm not sure. Whatever it is for you, you need to either evaluate or get back to the goals that you have set in the past, or the goals that you need for today, the goals that you're pursuing for your future. You need to get them right there in front of you. So right now I have in front of me this book. It says Big Plans. It looks like a big claw. NS, but it actually is Big Plans. Okay, and Big Plans, it's a really really cool book. It has this divider in the middle, so you can have like note taking on one part, and you can have grid paper to do like bullet journaling or drawing, and then you have like this blank piece, which has just sketch paper on it. It's a great little thing. There's lots of different ways to get down what you want to get done, right? There's lots of different ways to get down what you want to get done. You can get a Remarkable, you can use a journal, you can use an ordinary book that you found at a dollar store, you can find a big planner like this, you can find a My Time Planner from Leadership Management International Inc. You could find whatever works for you, and you can find something that can help get your goals in front of you, but you got to write it down. So number one is, if you wanted to hit the reset button, if you got a lot of anxiety, you got things distracting you, you get things in the way of what you want to accomplish, you can actually take a deep breath and get it down. And honestly, right here I've got like just a flashcard paper. It's just an index card. It's got a stain on it. Listen, if the thing that you need to do is just write down, like in bullet form, what you were planning on getting done this day, what are the top 3 things that you can get finished today that are going to make you feel like a success at the end of today? Write those 3 things down in bullet point form, and you'll feel more effective, right? Why is this important? Well, I think that resetting is important because you can very easily get lost in the anxiety of what will happen if you don't do what's right, rather than actually taking the steps that you need to take to do what's right. And that might be in the level of like managing your finances, that might be in the level of managing your professional life, your personal life, your dating life, your family, whatever. If you have a family, if you have a job, if you have a leadership position, if you have a team, you're not servicing yourself or anybody else. You're not doing anyone any favors by worrying about what the future is going to hold if you don't fix what's happening. You're going to help yourself and other people around you and the people you serve by actually taking steps that you need to take. Now you're thinking, okay, if I'm actually in a tizzy, okay, as I like to say, if you're actually in a situation where you have a hard time remembering what you're supposed to be doing, you're having a hard time even getting back on track, maybe you got lost in doom scrolling, you got lost in anxiety, you got stuck, you got overwhelmed, how are you supposed to remember even to do this? Well, it's about conditioning. You got to condition yourself to run to this activity, to run to this set of activities in order to actually gain the benefit. It's about consistently coming back to this. And honestly, for me, this helps even with like managing anger. I'm a kind of person who got a lot of energy in me. When I have something that triggers me, I jump into reaction mode. And I have found that I'm after years, right, of trying to come back to a level of sanity when I'm starting to lose my cool, whether that's with my kids or I'm upset about something in my car, whatever. I'm like, okay, right, I get into that and I take a deep breath. I literally take a deep breath and condition my brain to go to, okay, like for me, because I'm a spiritual person, I follow Jesus. Okay, I'm a Christian. I say, okay, Jesus, come into this situation. I need help, right? And so I invite Jesus in to my stress. I invite Jesus into my chaos. I invite Jesus into my planning. I invite Jesus into everything. And so for you, maybe that's different. Maybe for you, your desire is to achieve Zen or whatever, meditation, I don't know. But whatever you got to do, a deep breath and just taking a pause is going to be very helpful. But the next step is to actually like assess and reassess what you're doing now and what you need to be doing. Okay. And as a leader, you should already be kind of preconditioned to think this way. If you're new to leadership, maybe this is a helpful lesson for you. But if you are a leader, you should be preconditioned to the idea that you need to define reality, and you need to chart a course for a different kind of reality. And as an organizational leader, you need to do that for your organization in extremely large scale macro ways. And you're going to do your organization, you're going to do your teams an exceedingly great service by doing that well in the long-term goals you're going to set, in the vision that you're going to set. You're also going to do yourself a favor by strategically looking at your life and saying, okay, what do I want to accomplish in 3 years from now, and what steps am I going to need to take to get there based on where I'm standing today? And that all starts with defining your reality. And if you're in the middle of your day and you want to get to the end of today, you just want to get to the end of today and succeed, then you've got to do the exact same thing, just boiled down. You got to take those macro practices and micro practice them by taking a pause and assessing, okay, what are my plans? What was I actually planning on doing today? What would, even if I don't have the perfect day behind me, what would make this day better if I were to just take the simple next step right now? So, all of that to say, hitting the reset button in the same way that you would with a game console or with your PC or with yourself is to literally shut everything down for a second. It says, whoa, stop. I even do this when I'm driving around and I'm getting frazzled. I will literally turn into a street. I will pull over on the side of the road and I'll stop and I'll be like, wait a second. What am I supposed to be doing? And now as a father, I got 4 kids at home. I got a wife who works night shifts. I've got, 4 different organizational teams that I'm leading. Okay, how do I assess that? How do I deal with day-to-day life? And maybe not 4 organizational teams, but 4 different things that I spend my time on. 4 things that I'm leading, I should say, not necessarily all teams, but 4 things that I'm leading. So I got a lot of things that can change on a dime. I got a lot of moving parts in this season of my life, so I have to be aware that there's going to be moments I got to pull over, I got to stop, I got to be stationary for a hot minute, and I got to figure out where am I supposed to be, who am I supposed to be talking to, what am I supposed to be doing, right? And that will help me get back onto the goals that I have set for my future. That'll help me get back onto what I'm supposed to be doing for the present moment. And so that zaps me back to the present. I gotta shut everything down. I gotta stop everything I'm doing for a second. And I'll even do this if I'm scrolling social media. I will literally take my phone, minimize it. I'll put it down in front of me, and I will think about what am I actually supposed to be spending my time on, because I'm pretty sure it's not scrolling through Facebook videos. Why did I open Facebook in the first place? It sounds crazy, but when you have a lot of stress and you don't sleep a ton in a particular season of your life, you've got to know, you got to be self-aware that you're going to be hitting some moments where it's going to feel like you're very hazy. You're going to be hitting a brick wall every once in a while. So you've got to hit the stop button. You've got to hit the reset button. You've got to get back to where you were going. And you actually have to remember, why did I open Facebook? Why did I walk into the kitchen? Right? Why did I drive all the way here? I can't even remember. It's not about having the perfect brain. It's not about always having perfect mental clarity all the time. But you got to know how to hit the reset button to get back to one, so that you can get back to winning, and so that you can look back on today and say you won, right? So get back to one so you can get back to winning, so you can look back on today and say that you won. Okay? So to hit the reset button to reset as a leader, as a human, is simply just to shut down what you're doing for a hot second, hit the pause button, start everything over. You can't always start the day over. You can't, right? You might be at 3 p.m. You realize you missed 4 of your goals because you got stuck talking to somebody at the office that you weren't supposed to be talking to in the first place. They weren't even supposed to be there that day. And you didn't do all of your, special, techniques to get out of the conversation, or maybe they were just a long talker and they didn't respect your time or whatever it is. And now you're in a situation. How are you going to fix this? It's like, okay, even if it's only just one action step that you can take within the time that you have left, take a moment, reset, figure out what goals you're supposed to be pursuing, and then take at least one action step in that direction. When I'm driving around and I notice that maybe I'm on my way to a meeting a little bit early, but I was actually supposed to accomplish something different, or I was supposed to send an email, or I was supposed to do something, I'll stop, I'll pray, I'll say, God, what am I supposed to be up to? What would you have me do? And I do what I can to get back on that track. So I hope that this encouraged you. I hope that you can be encouraged. I do want to share one story about how this helped me once. I'll actually tell you about it for today. So I am at my office. I'm in downtown in the city where I live. I'm downtown, and I had somebody that was passing through town. I headed out. I came back from after lunch was finished, and I'm sitting at my desk and I'm trying to figure out, okay, what time is it? What's going on? And I realized that I left my planner on the floor in my office. And I'm like, wait a second, I have my planner right here. So what I decided to do, I was working on, I think the best example would be I was working on a Canva graphic or something to that effect. Basically something I shouldn't have been focusing on. There's nothing evil about it. I'm just not supposed to be doing that. So I'm looking around, I'm like, I'm wasting time right now. I am wasting time right now. And so I turned to my planner, I picked it up, I'm like, I mapped out everything I was supposed to do today. I need to just go down my list and figure it out. So I put it on my desk, I looked through, I went point by point, and I'm like, oh right, I'm supposed to be messaging people so that they can volunteer at our cafe this week, you know. So even though I didn't end up sending a message at that moment, I ended up drafting a message and then realizing I only have like another hour and a half left at this particular location. I better figure out what I got to do here specifically. So I went back to my planner again, and I realized that there was one thing that I needed to do there, which was send some videos and do some editing while I had Wi-Fi. And then there was a desk that needed to be moved from the top part of the building down to my office. So I'm like, okay, that's what I'm going to do right now. So I got up and I just did it. And it was very helpful because even though it wasn't like I won't look back on today and think this was the most massively productive day ever. Right now, looking at my goals, I can actually tell you I have, probably 75% of my goals for today crushed. Okay. And I still got a little bit of anxiety in me right now because I'm thinking, am I missing something? Am I supposed to be doing something else? Am I making a huge mistake right now? I don't know. Right. But I think that when I'm looking at my planner, I'm looking at what I actually intended to do based on the goals that I have set. I'm doing pretty well. There's a couple of things that after I'm done this live stream, I'm gonna have to get at it. Okay. Or like, I'm gonna have to open up my planner. I'm gonna go right to point 2. And I'm going to plan out the month ahead. Some of it's already kind of planned, but I want to write it down. I want to be intentional. And those are some of the things that I'm going to do after I'm finished this live stream, right? So why do I share that story? Well, I just want to illustrate to you that none of this has to be perfect. You don't have to be a maximalist to live your best in Christ. You don't have to be, the most organized person on planet Earth to be a phenomenal leader. You can sit down just like writers do and just figure things out. Like sometimes I think of myself more as a pantser versus somebody who's, a brick by brick, point by point, plan the whole thing, A-type personality, right? Like Stephen King as a writer. And I think there's another guy, Jerry B. Jenkins, as a writer. He also does this. He sits down to write his books. He just sits down and does it. Gets it done, there's a few plot points in his mind, has a sense of the direction of the story that he's writing at the time. But he just sits down, he just gets done. He just starts writing. There are other people who have, as writers, as authors of books, they have a very unique plan and there's one guy, his last name is Holiday. He's written some really, high quality books. He's very big into stoicism and stuff. And he actually maps out his entire book writing process. He has boxes full of index cards of thought by thought, moment by moment, everything that's going to end up in this book. Everybody has their own different approach to writing a book. And I use that example because, for myself, I think of myself more as a pantser. And then I could kind of figure out what am I going to do with what I got in front of me right now. I'm going to make it into a book. And it's the same approach that I have with my planning. I write. I do have a sense of plot points for the day, but I know that it's going to get off kilter a little bit. So I know that I have special practices to get me back on track so that I can sit down and get back at it. And you might be an A-type personality, and if you are, more power to you. Go in the direction of that, and don't think that you ever have to cave to being more spontaneous. Stop feeling bad for not being spontaneous. You don't have to feel bad about that. Be who you are. But you also don't have to feel bad for being more spontaneous and, not being disorganized. But every once in a while, it's okay to lean into who you are as a fly by the seat of your pants kind of personality. Lean into your strength, right? Because there are some people who are A-type that wish they could function sometimes like a fly by the seat of your pants kind of personality, especially in categories of life where there's advantage to that. Where it's advantageous. But for you, whoever you are, I might think of myself more as a pantser. You might live somewhere else in that spectrum. Lean into whatever your method is and get back at that. And so for me, I'm okay, I know that my day is off kilter. I'm going to stop everything I'm doing. What the heck am I supposed to be doing? What am I supposed to be doing here? I'm going to map it back out. I'm going to get back to my plan and go from there. I'm going to stop this live stream there. I've been talking for 20 minutes. That's enough. But basically what I want to communicate to you is that you are awesome. You're doing better than you think. But more importantly, or more precisely, I want you to know that whatever goals you've got going on, nothing is impossible with God. Everything is possible for those who believe. And so if you believe that you can get this done and you can, get back to your plans, you can get back to your goals, you can accomplish what you're called to do. Okay. So, just hit the reset button, give yourself some grace, get back at where you got to go, take a deep breath, hit the pause button, and get back to one so that you can get back to winning, so you can look back on today and say that you won. Okay? All right. This is Noah with In Rest. I love you. God bless you. And I hope that you continue to thrive today in your life. See ya.